This room gets a lot of light, which is one of my favorite things about it. But there's been nothing done to it since we moved in. It's got the same builder grays that we had in the hallway, if you saw the last video. Also, if you saw the last video, you know that this room is the dead end of our hallway. So you can see right into it from the other end of the house. So color is very, very important. So the only thing that is staying the same about this room is the layout. I do not know if we will keep the dresser that we have here now. It's more of a campaign style dresser. The layout options are very limited. And so, being so limited on the options, I'm not going to have a twin bed for a guest room, number one. That's the only thing that would keep it out from under the windows. But number two, there's no window that it will fit under and centered. The feeling that I'm going for in this room is what I'll call cottage glam. But I don't want it too feminine. I do want florals. I do want it to be completely drenched in a beautiful rich color. I'm going to be redoing the closet doors. The boob light will be changing. There will be lots of brass and gold and vintage elements. I want to use as much of the things that I already have, or thrift, Facebook Marketplace, vintage stores. I don't want to spend a lot of money on this room. So let me show you my inspiration for this room. And it is this inexpensive bed set from IKEA. And I'll find it and I'll put a link and I'll put a picture of it. But I just absolutely love it. So the walls will be one of these green tones, and the curtains, we'll pull some colors from here. We'll get a new rug. Yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but I'm excited to have this room done. But before we can do anything, we've got to get this room cleaned out. I had 3 paint swatches picked out when I first bought the duvet cover, but decided to add that lightest one by the window while I was at Lowe's looking around. And it turns out I didn't like any of them. So I took a 60-40 ratio, 60% of the darker middle color and 40% of the lighter middle color, and mixed those together and came up with my own formula. And it's perfect, as you'll see. So while I was contemplating the paint colors, I decided to move on to the closet doors. These closet doors will hopefully one day be replaced, but I decided to give them a little bit of a facelift. I used a piece of trim to cover the metal track up top. No matter how hard I tried, I could not get these doors level without taking them down completely and rehanging them. So they are what they are. I covered the raised panel center portions with 1/4 inch Luan cut to size. I just attached it with some liquid nails and some brad nails. And I heard a saying on a vlog I watch, Pine and Prospect Home. Andrea said that her husband lives by the motto, do your best, caulk the rest, and I think that's a great life lesson. You know, nothing's ever going to be perfect, and everything can be fixed, so you just do your best, caulk the rest, take your lesson, and apply it to the next time. So once all of the panels were hung, I sat on the bed for 1100 hours cutting trim, which I then applied around the edges, filled the holes, caulked the gaps, and called it a day. Overall, I'm really happy with how they turned out. So now that the paint color has been picked, it's time to get to the biggest job, the painting. So I said in my last video that I really loved Valspar's signature paint. Well, they were out of it this time. And so I went with the step down, which is their Ultra. And let me tell you something. I don't think I'll ever go back. Not only was it $10 a gallon cheaper, the coverage on this paint was incredible. I painted this entire room, walls and ceiling, with 1 gallon of paint. Minimal touch-ups. This is truly a one-coat wonder paint. At least in this color it was. I'm just absolutely thrilled with it, especially painting a ceiling. I mean, good grief, it's bad enough doing it one time. Who wants to do it a second time? Speaking of painting ceilings, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but I do. I'm a sucker for a painted ceiling. Maybe one day I'll be able to afford to hire it out, but until then, I'll just keep painting ceilings. I knew the minute this color went on the walls that I had made the right choice. It is rich, it is warm, it's cozy, but the room is not dark. I know a lot of the lighting in some of the clips it can read as dark. It's not. I'm just thrilled with it. The hardest part of this whole paint job, other than the ceiling, was moving the bed, especially with the boot on. But I powered through, got it done. I'm nothing if not tenacious and stubborn and determined when it comes to completing a project that I've set my mind on. We had some pretty serious storms here yesterday and last night, so it's quite humid out and the paint is taking a little longer to dry than I would like. And I want that to be fully dry, at least to the touch, before I move on to painting the trim. So while I wait, I thought I would get started on this desk. This desk belonged to David's father. I don't know how long he had it, but David grew up with it. He remembers seeing his father work at it every night. His father owned his own company and he would work at the desk every night, so it's a good memory for him. I started sanding the drawers down and intended to refinish it a few years ago, and I was going to paint it, and then I wasn't going to paint it, and then I was, and I never could decide. So it sat in the state it's in now in our sunroom at our last house, and here in this house now for a year, with the drawers sanded, and that's it. So I was looking at it, and I had made up my mind that I was gonna restain it. And then I started sanding the top, and it is in such bad condition. There's pieces of veneer pulling up. It would just, quite honestly, take a lot more work than I really want to put into it right now. But I do want it to look cute, obviously, and be something that we still enjoy having. So I'm going to paint the top and the drawers. I'm going to paint the top and the drawers in this color. I was kind of going through my stash of paint, and this is a mineral paint that I've used before on some other pieces of furniture, and it's called Conch. It's got some pinky undertones, but it's not an in-your-face pink, so I think it'll look really good with the dark cherry wood and the bedding and everything else I'm trying to do in this room. I'm going to start with this braided edge here because I really, really, really want to be sure that this is the direction I want to go. I think it is, but I'd rather start here. And I'm just using a small, cheap art brush for this, just to get into all of the nooks and crannies. Okay, yeah, I think this is the direction I'm gonna go. And then I'll come back and seal this with either some wax or some polyacrylic. But I really, really, really like the juxtaposition between the dark wood and this more feminine, barely there pink. Before I move on with painting the top, I've got this gash mark right here that I need to fill in, and I'm just going to use plastic wood. It's just an all-purpose wood filler. You can paint it, you can stain it. I love using it for projects like these. Okay, I'll let that dry for about, I don't know, 2 to 4 hours. It's not a very deep hole, so it shouldn't take longer than that. And then I'll just lightly sand it and paint over it, and you'll never know it was there. So once I had sanded down the top and gave it a good wipe down, I moved on to painting. I love using chalk and mineral paint. This happens to be silk mineral paint, and I love the ease of application and the forgiveness that comes with it. All you need is a bottle of water handy, and I love how it blends. So I'm really happy that I had this on hand and that it worked so well. So once the top was done, I moved on to the drawers. Those were a little easier because they had been previously sanded. I really love the juxtaposition between the paint and the dark wood stain. I think they really complement each other. I will be using the handles that are original to the desk. I cleaned them up years ago, and they've just been sitting waiting to be put back in service. So we'll see how this turns out at the end. Okay, the painting is done except for around the light fixture where I need to replace the lighting, and that's what I think this is. It was just delivered from Amazon a little while ago, and I'm so excited to see it. The light I was going for, obviously a little vintage, a little brass, a little glam. I kind of want a combination of masculine and feminine in this room, and I'm gonna get there. And I'm loving how the room's coming together. It's so far everything that I have put together matches what's in my head exactly. This right here has been the wild card, because you never can tell about golds or brass online. Oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna love it. The bad part, I feel like already, is the putting together. Okay, I know it's a little dark in here. I've got the light off, just about to switch out the light fixtures. It's Saturday around 11 o'clock. I've got the dresser in here. It needs a lot of work. Not a lot of work, it needs work. But that will come after we get the light hung, the bed built, the rug in here, and then I'll start working on the small details. We've got somewhere to be in a couple of hours, so I'm just going to do a few things that I can before we have to start getting ready. First thing I'm going to do is get the light fixture down, and hopefully it won't be too hard to get the other one up, but we'll see. Okay, so this is where we're at. Everything's painted. Got a huge mess, of course. Bed in the corner, curtains, which we're about to get to. Got the new dresser moved in here that still needs some work. Okay, it is Sunday afternoon. We have had a busy day. A busy weekend. My son was in town visiting. We went to the family August birthdays at my sister's house yesterday. Got to see my son. I was really happy about that. Got to meet his new dog. Finally got all the painting done. We got the light fixture installed. Let's talk about the light fixture. I'm in love. It's that orangey gold, which I'm not in love with. It's a little garish, but I've been accused of being garish before, so whatever. It pulls a little bit of the gold out of the fabric that we're using. This is, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's got some gold in there, so I'm fine with it. I hung it a little differently than they had it on Amazon, showing it hung. So on Amazon they had, there's 10 branches, I guess you would call them, and they had them all pointing up. And I did that at first and I didn't like it, so I alternated. And it's got the crystal, and it's just beautiful. It makes me so happy. It was not easy to hang. So let's talk about what we're doing next. I just want to get a few things done in here today. Hopefully I get to the point where I can put the bed together, but we'll see. What we're going to do right now is hang the curtains. So these curtains I have had for years, probably 4 or 5 years. I had them in our house in Memphis. I had them in my office for a while. I had them in our bedroom for a while, and they're going to be perfect for in here. I think I got them from Curtain Works. I'll have to look and see. But they're velvet lined drapes, and they are beautiful. I don't know if you can see. You'll see when they're hung. But they're a pink velvet. They're not a bright garish. There's that word again, pink. They're very soft, and they go so beautifully with the fabric. So for the rods, I had some rods from our last house that I intended to use. And they will still get used, but just not in this room. Mainly because of the return. They're hung on tabs. And so when you hang them on a straight rod that doesn't curve, like this wraparound rod that I got, you're going to see the light filtering in through the sides, and I don't like that. I like a return on the curtains. If I was putting these on pins and hanging them on rings, then I would just take the edge and I would tuck it back under the curtain rod. I'm not doing a very good job explaining this. These. So you see what I'm talking about here with the return. These will connect to the wall like that. There we go. Like that. A traditional curtain rod is going to come straight out, and then you have the bracket back here, and then of course your curtains would hang straight across. Well, with this, it's got basically a built-in return. These are called wraparound rods, and so I'll show you after I get them hung. The edge will sit right here, so you won't have the light coming in from the sides. Spring or not, and if it doesn't, that's got to stay there until I get the other curtains hung, the floor cleaned, and we can lay out the rug. The curtains are hung. Obviously, I still need to fuss with them yet, but they're up. The hard part's done. And I can't wait to see this rug. I haven't even taken it out of the package yet. I'm hoping that it's everything I dreamed it would be, but we're about to find out. So I'm going to clean the floors, get the rug pad down, and then we'll open the rug. It's so perfect. It's so perfect. Okay, it still needs to settle, but first impressions. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. It is perfect. I also left it standing up too long in the package, so it's going to take some time for this to settle. So this is the bedding. And there won't be much of this showing, mostly in the pillowcases and just at the top of the duvet where I'll have it folded back. But look at this. Look at this. It's like they were made for each other without going too far. So when I'm looking for a rug, and I'm sorry, I'm sweaty. When I'm looking for a rug, number one, I want it as big as the space can handle, which is what I did here. Any bigger, I think this is an 8 by 10, I'll have to check, or a 7 by 9. It wouldn't have handled it. Any smaller, it would have looked funny, especially under the bed. I did have to shift it further to the right of the room towards the windows. There's some wiggle room. I got more today than I thought I would get done. I'm gonna wait and let this rug settle overnight before I get in here with the bed frame and start putting that together. I am gonna go ahead and switch out the switch plates. I absolutely love it. This. So while I was waiting for the rug to settle, I decided to work on the dresser. The top needed completely restained, but the drawers and the sides were mostly just nicks. So I used Restore Finish, which I had never used before, and I really didn't even have the right color. This was an ebony color that I used on it. But it worked beautifully. It filled the scratches in. So the next day I got to putting the bed together. Pro parenting tip. Have your children put their toys together from a young age, either alone or with help. Kudos to my parents for making me assemble everything from a very early age. I had intended to get a vintage or an antique bed, and I scoured Facebook Marketplace for months and couldn't find anything. So I went with this bed from Wayfair, the Kelly Clarkson Home Collection, and it's called the Maddie bed. It's perfect. It's simple. I knew I wanted white to offset some of the dark wood that I have going on in here. And yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. All right, I finished putting the bed together last night, and I love it. So we're in the home stretch. I started pulling out some art that I'm considering using. There's just a few things left to do. Change the doorknobs. So I found these on Amazon and I am in love. less than 5 minutes. Now, I will have to put a little bit of touch-up paint right here, but oh. I am unapologetically a maximalist. I've tried the whole minimalist approach, doesn't work for me. However, I like it to a point, and then I understand that things can start feeling cluttered. Especially in a guest room, you know, I want things in here that are beautiful and have meaning to me, but I don't want it to be cluttered. So I'm not spending any money on accessories or pictures, anything like that. So I'm bringing in a bunch of things that I already had, and I'm going to play with them and see what I like. This picture right here, I have had for probably 15 years. I got it at Kirkland's. But I'm in love with it. It's nothing, you know, expensive and fancy and precious, but I love it. I also have a few prints, not prints. These are original oil paintings that I bought at an antique market or a flea market maybe 6 months ago. These were all from Ukrainian artists, and I loved them all. This one right here. So I would like to choose one to use in this frame right here to put on this wall that you'll see from the hallway. But let me play around and see what I come up with. This room went from a dumping ground to a sanctuary. It's warm, rich, and inviting. I was able to use so many pieces that we already had, from all of the artwork and decor to David's father's desk, the dresser. I found this beautiful vintage needlepoint East Lake chair on Marketplace that fit perfectly in this room. I filled the corner where the chair used to be with a fiddle leaf fig and hung some artwork that I've collected over the years from flea markets. I used a painting that I've had for at least 15 years, which goes to show that it does pay off to hold on to the things that you truly love. Whether you have a place for them now or not, if you truly love them, you'll find a place. I love seeing little details like David's baby shoes on the nightstand. the milk glass lamp that I found several months ago while shopping with my sister is a nice memory. I put some little finishing touches on the dresser, some slippers, a sleep mask, some lotion, lip balm. I just tried to make it feel inviting and welcoming and someplace that I would want to stay. I hope you've enjoyed following along on this room transformation, and what a transformation it was. I hope you agree. Please leave a comment down below, good, bad, indifferent. Let me know what you liked, what you would do differently. I always enjoy seeing other people's tastes and styles and things that they would change. Certainly I'll be making changes in here over the years. The curtains need to be shortened. I'll get to that eventually. I want to make some updates to my grandmother's mirror. Little things like that, but I'm calling this room done, and I'm thrilled with it. David and I have spent quite a bit of time in here and even talked about moving in here a night or two, but we'll see. So I hope you'll consider coming back. We have a lot of projects coming up. We're going to build a kitchen island out of 2 IKEA Tarva dressers, so that'll be fun. We're going to build some built-in bookcases in the dining room turned library. We've got a baby's room that we're going to do, and once the weather cools off, we'll move outside and do some landscaping, rebuild our walkway to our door, and sprinkled in here and there, we'll give quail updates and some cooking videos. But I hope you decide to stick around. We'd love to have you and get to know you, and yeah, let me know what you think. So I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye.